Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beer There, Drunk That podcast with your three favorite lovable non-losers. We've
Yeah.
upgraded.
We're
People
winners.
like
We're
us
winners
now.
now. We're
Yeah,
winners now.
we won a contest. Most handsome
Did
guys
we?
on a podcast that you
I
can't
can't blast
see.
that.
We
Best
have
faces for
There you
radio.
go. Nice.
we have
Nice.
listeners from across the globe. We've got listeners in New York. We've got listeners in Wisconsin, and that's it.
And that's the globe. That's the globe.
The globe in 1843. It's like those flat Earth maps, you know?
Yeah, except the entire thing is just Wisconsin and New York. That's it.
Well, it's like, have you
Everything
looked
else
at
is
the states?
uncharted territory.
Massachusetts used to own Maine. Like,
What?
yeah,
Holy
I mean, it
crap!
makes sense. I don't blame them.
like there was nothing connecting them, but Maine was part of Massachusetts, and that's why they both talk funny.
Not New Hampshire though.
No accent.
No accent.
Well, what do we
I
got today,
mean,
boys?
I mean it's Stout week, so I went with the tried and true Guinness, baby.
Guinness, New
And
York.
Guinness gives back. Guinness gives back.
You're a few days late there, Keegan, but Guinness isn't all your thing, so I respect
Excuse
it.
you. We're still in the month of March, so
Yeah,
let's
yeah, all
take
right,
a
that's true.
couple three steps back there, Luke.
That's true. Oh, listen, I know that better than anybody. I'm the most Irish one here on paper, as we determined last episode.
I really need. I need that. I need that ancestry to come back.
Well, I'm gonna
Luke, what
have
are you
Luke
drinking?
list his because I didn't bring a stout, and now I have to go grab one.
All right. Well,
Oh
so I'm
yeah, yeah.
drinking the Brown's Brewing Company oatmeal stout. Or I haven't cracked it open yet, but I'm very excited. Actually, this is what you and I bought in Saratoga Springs from the whatever it was, 35 Market, whatever it was. And
Oh right, I forgot about that. I
they're
forgot about
based
that.
out of North Hoosick, New York. So
Who's sick?
hopefully yeah, wait, who's sick? Donnie, it's him.
Donny's sick.
They have the big
Donny,
moose
what
in
did
Hoosick.
you? Oh, and
Have you,
wait.
the big
Actually,
moose? Have you ever heard of? You've never been to Hoosick, probably, have you guys?
I don't think so. Where's Hoosick? I
Mm-mm.
don't know where Hoosick is. I gotta look it up now.
New York, Vermont border. I used to drive through it every time I went to college.
Oh,
Um, but it has this place called the Big Moose, and it's like one of those like country store gift shoppy places. And it's called the Big Moose, but there's a bunch of cows on the roof of it. But it's a bunch of animal statues that are painted to look like Holstein cows, like they're black with white or white with black spots.
oh,
Yeah, if you look it up, it's really
that's
funny.
interesting. That's very. That's. I mean, that's an interest. Yeah.
Well, in Rush, New York, when I was growing up, we had this little ice cream stand that was called Big Moo,
Mm.
and it was the side of this building was painted like that cow pattern,
Hmm.
that black and white. I always thought it was pretty cool, but now looking back and kind of hearing the stories and the fact that it's
It's
now
not as
just a
cool.
parking lot, it might have been it might have been kind of a divey place. I don't know.
Luke was already checking out dive bars at 10 years
Yeah,
old.
right.
Um, so I went and grabbed an Enocheca from Mobcraft Brewing. This is one of their crowdsourced
Ooh.
beers. It is a
Hmm.
Mexican hot chocolate stout. Stout with
Wow.
chocolate, cinnamon, and a hint of cayenne. This wasn't for my
Wow.
tasting. I just bought these because they're good.
That sounds very nice, actually.
Yeah, the
I'd be
can is real.
interested.
Like the can is pretty. It's very
Yeah, that's way cool.
yeah. It's a really good beer. It's like just one of those dessert in a cans, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. For
those are the
sure.
best.
Well, you guys want
All
to
right,
crack your
boys.
beers or what?
I got a nitro, so I'm gonna go nice and close to the mic. All right.
I'm gonna see how
Sláinte,
well
fellas.
mine gets picked up here. Slancha.
That was
Did
a
you
good one.
sink yours into your beer for that? That was an impressive sound.
No, that was just nice. All right, let's let that settle. Ooh. Not let it spill. Do you mind if I go first because my beer is settling?
Go right ahead. I'm trying to figure out how to fix mine.
I mean, are you having trouble? Like I
Yeah,
what?
it
So
didn't
hold on.
cut
So I
away.
think this is an automatic rescindance. Like RIT should be taking back your packaging degree for this exact moment.
It's not my degree. My degree's over there. But this is my
Oh.
device. I use the draft top, which is the thing where you can cut the top off a can of beer and drink it just like a glass. And it didn't want these cans. It didn't want to come out, so I had to like poke it down and pull it out, and now
I'll
I'm
go
just
for it.
making a
Yeah.
mess.
Well, I shout out Draft Top. I just ordered mine on Amazon. I can't wait. So Luke's the only one with that one. Loser.
Loser.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
the poor guy. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, Keegan, what's
all
your
right.
beer?
So I'm gonna start with this one actually. So this is called Mallow Out. It's from Crooked Stave Brewing in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, more specifically. It's a 7.8% ABV dessert stout, is how they describe it. And I'll show you the can. Like I just love the skeleton looking guy in marshmallows. That's kind of what drew me to it. Again, I'm a sucker for nice cans, just like Luke. And so yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this beer. So it was a little bit more bitter than the other beer that I tasted, but not a bad thing. Like it's that classic like stout bitterness that you get. So it was nice because it wasn't like an overwhelming bitterness or overwhelming coffee because you also have that marshmallow flavor that kind of just sneaks in with some sweetness, and it's more on the aftertaste when you do it. I would consider it more of a mid-bodied stout, so I'll talk about my second one, but this one was definitely I'd say on the mid to lighter end of stouts as far as thickness, mouthfeel. So, fun fact about the brewery, quick, is so it was founded in 2010, but the owner actually did his master's thesis on yeast species and beer. So this guy is like an actual
A beer scientist.
intelligent person about beer. He is a true beer scientist. So I thought that was very, very interesting. They have some other beers that I definitely would be interested to try. So maybe at some point we'll make it out to Denver and get to do live tasting there.
I would
Sweet.
love
I'm
to.
sorry, and I gave it a four out of 5 on Untappd. So it was a good beer, not like a Mount Rushmere type of beer, but it was definitely something I'd go for again. And now I can drink my Guinness.
How do you think about like the marshmallow flavor versus just like a sweet flavor?
Well, so I mean, so when I first got the can, I was anticipating like anybody that knows what fluff is, like I was anticipating that fluff kind of flavor, and it wasn't that, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It was more subtle. It almost ends up being like a general sweetness, kind of like that, like you're asking about, I guess. Like it wasn't. I don't know if it was necessarily a true marshmallow flavor, as much as it was just kind of a subtle sweetness to bring up the taste of the overall beer.
Now, did you feel, I mean, because you said it was kind of the lighter medium side, you were talking about mouthfeel and that.
Hmm.
Um,
I'll fill your
did
mouth.
you did you think did you think that did you feel that it was watered down like that one you had kind of recently, or did it
No,
avoid that a
so
lot? No.
So yeah, no, I definitely avoided that. Like it's, I think when you're calling a beer a stout, you do have to walk a fine line if you're going to be on the lighter end of stouts. And this one is definitely on the lighter end of stouts, but it doesn't fall off into that like more watered down taste like we had last week. It'd be a so I mean stouts themselves are definitely not like they're not a beer you're gonna have a ton of, but this beer, like if I was gonna have more than one stout, this would be a type of beer you can have that of. It's light enough to keep it going. I'll say a Moorish stout
A
is how I would
Hey,
sessionable or
describe
a
there it is.
crushable almost like it's
it. Yeah, if we're
crushable
so
and
again,
stout
if
is not
crushable,
conducive.
it's not usually one you put in the same sentence. This, however, yeah, I feel like it's one that it have to be the winter though. If I'm touching this beer in the summer, like someone hit me or something. Like I don't really do stouts in the summer because they're just so thick. This one you could probably get away with like one in the summer as like a campfire beer, just solely because of the marshmallow taste to it,
A little
or
cold
marshmallow
outside,
aspect
you're
to it.
sitting by a warm fire, you're
Exactly.
having a nice beer. Like it's your
Yes.
beer for the night. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
This would be like an August night, like campfire beer. You're just vibing, like good music on the radio. It's just vibes.
so when you all right, then you kind of got into that, but I kind of want to hear Donnie's opinion on it too. Are you completely avoiding a stout in the summer?
I will say no. It's not like more like you have to think too. Like when I go places in the summer, a lot of places don't brew like new stouts in the summer, like unless it's like a regular one of their beers.
Yeah.
And again, as I've said before, I crave stouts this time of year where it's like coming out of spring, like and in winter and stuff. Like this Mexican hot chocolate stout, like this is a great like sitting around playing cards around the holidays beer, I would say. But I wouldn't say I avoid them. Like if I'm going and getting a flight somewhere, like I usually like to throw one dark beer in there, at least, to kind of,
Sure.
try and vary it up. So I would drink that. Like I would drink one. I wouldn't like refuse one. But I'd say they're not they lower on my priority list in the summer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, at least in my case, if I'm drinking a stout in the summer, and it does happen, obviously not as frequently as
It
it's going to
happens. It
happen.
happens, guys.
It
I
happens.
swear.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. I'm only a
It
guy.
happens.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but so it's like in the summer, obviously, I'll have it way less often, or far less often than I will in the winter. But when I'm drinking a stout, I'm sitting usually with my dad, my uncle, and my cousin's husband. It's like we're sitting down, smoking a cigar. We're gonna sip on it, and we're not about to do a bunch of like manual labor immediately after, because
You're
that
gummed
warms
up.
you up. Yeah.
Yeah, you're.
Speaking of warming you up, uh, is it all right with you guys if I go with my first?
You
I
gotta
mean,
do
I was
your
hoping you
second.
wouldn't talk.
I gotta do my second. All right. Well, the segue doesn't work as well, but here we go.
No, go right ahead, Keegan. You're not Keegan, Luke.
Yeah, Keegan, do your second right now. We'll do it
Yeah.
that way.
Just
No,
skip everybody.
So you can not talk the second half.
Exactly.
No,
Get me
go
out
ahead,
of the way
Luke.
early.
thanks, fellas. Well, so I had and this was a gift from my dear friend Matt Ignatowski, who I'd love to have on the podcast at some point, but I think I've mentioned him. He used to work at Custom Brew Crafters. May it rest in peace.
He's friends with me on Untapped.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Mhm.
He's a real good dude. And so he gifted me this Goose Island beer company. It's their Bourbon County brand Bananas Foster Stout,
Mm-hmm.
Holy
which
hell!
That's a
which
beer.
I am so appreciative of, because I know it was expensive. Like for a beer, it's pretty pricey.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to start out by saying the uh other beer that I've had, or one of the other beers that I've had from Goose Island, and they're based out of Chicago, Illinois, but I've been to their one of their physical locations, actually in Boston. Um, so I had their Bourbon County brand original stout, which is a go-to. Like when I see a bottle, again, it's on the pricier side, but I'll grab it. I think I gifted one to my uncle this Christmas, in fact. It's just so consistently good and deep and rich, and it's just everything
That's
that
one of
I
their
want
Black
in the
Friday
stout.
beers. It's a special release every year.
Yeah, it is so good. In fact, I actually, now that I think about it, the last person I gifted a bottle of this, or their original stout to, was Keegan's dad on Sunday.
Shout out Brian.
Shout out
What
Brian.
up, Bry? What up, Bry? He listens
Bry
a
guy.
lot. Shout out, Brian.
So this 13.9 percenter.
Ooh, ooh,
Oh.
on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday. Well, so actually I had this yesterday, so it was a little earlier in the week, which
On a Tuesday.
on a
On a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
13% beer Tuesday, they call it.
They call they call it a successful Tuesday evening if you stumble to bed. And
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I mean, heavy, thick mouthfeel, like heavy mouthfeel, with a finish that tastes like. And Donnie, I know you in particular enjoy my kind of comparisons, but it tastes like I took a couple of banana slices and shoved them into a bottle of bourbon with vanilla. It was just
Wow.
so wonderful. A lot of people had said, in fact, I think in talking with Matt, he might have mentioned this, but a lot of people had said that they taste kind of almond in this beer. Like that was one of the notes that they took. I didn't really get that, and maybe it's because I'm not a big almond guy. Um, Especially if some cretin says something about almond milk, and I use that in quotes. All right, and we've already covered that. It was probably the first episode of the podcast. I cannot stand that, but I won't go down that rabbit hole. Um, but the banana was most present in the aftertaste. It was just an incredible beer, 4.75 rating on Untapped. A definite sipping beer. I I was not chugging that.
I feel like that about most like bourbon barrel aged beers. It's like when we went to the Sprecher Brewery a couple over a month ago now, I got one of their like their regular bourbon aged beers. It's called like 12 Dragons, but they serve it to you in a rocks glass. Like,
Holy.
yeah,
They're sending you a message. They're sending you a
yeah,
message.
yeah.
Yeah, if that doesn't spell it right out there, that's yeah, I mean this just like bourbon uh warmed me up. I was feeling pretty nice. I split I had to, really.
Mm.
But I split it with my roommate Zach, and so we had both kind of sipped on it and played gin rummy, so it's a good time.
Luke's
Honestly, that
progression to
sounds
being
like a
old.
nice
Yeah.
Tuesday. He's gonna learn cribbage next. Watch out. Watch out.
Well,
I meant to look up cribbage between the last episode and now, and it didn't happen, so I'm sitting here still in confusion.
I'll teach you
Luke,
a little bit at some point. We'll play
you've
cribbage
been
live on the podcast.
that would, I mean, a live stream on Insta, just cribbage over
Yeah.
Zoom,
Yeah,
not in real life.
IG live
Zoom
cribbage.
Um, Luke, you've been on a real heater with beers. Like these like last week into this week, like you've had some pretty rated beers. Like, are you just getting lucky? You just love what you're tasting, or is there a method to the madness?
I think just that kind of progression into Irish and heavy beer, Irish and heavy, another nickname in high school. But
Although
that's
some
kind of
people referred to you as the Pollock, so
yeah, that is true. That is true. I did get that too. I got bullied a lot. And
It
actually I've been
shows.
meaning to no. It shows, he says. Yeah. Yeah, but enough with therapy hour. How about you, Donnie? What was your beer?
Well, I also went with a dessert style beer. I went with oatmeal cream pie imperial stout from Whole Hog Brewing here in where are they? I think they're somewhere here in Wisconsin. Stevens Point. Shout out UW Stevens Point.
not a half hog, but a whole hog.
Whole Hog. What Drake was showing in that one video. But I gave this beer 2.25. I was not impressed, and I hope it's because I had a bad bottle.
Holy crap.
I had like a 2.25 out of 5. Like it, I didn't love it. I didn't love it, and I want to hope that I had just a bad bottle of it. The first person I've ever actually seen drink this beer, was last April. My good friend Andy, who you guys know from college.
Mhm.
Oh, Andy.
Yeah,
What's
so
he doing?
so he lives in Iowa now, and so him and his fiance came out here for when the Red Sox played the Brewers, and we went to a couple games that weekend.
Go
And one of the
Sox.
games, yeah, go Sox. Saw Sox dubs too. Saw Raffy hit a homer.
Yep,
Um,
Bram Bello, opening day starter. Can't wait.
oh, dude, believe in the kid is all I'm saying. But
Sorry, so he came out to Wisconsin.
he came
Yeah.
out, and the thing here, I'm kind of in my Brewers fit. I'm wearing my Wolskis shirt. It's a baseball shirt. On the back of it, it's like the MLB logo, but instead of a guy with a baseball bat, it's a guy drinking a beer.
Nice.
And,
Nice.
As God intended.
and then I'm wearing my Brewers hat. That's signed by Brewers 2023 rookie Joey Weimer. He was bartending at a place one time last year as a guest bartender or beer tender at Broken Bat Brewery, the baseball themed brewery.
Nice.
So I got him to sign a hat. Anywho, what happened is he ordered this beer at the bar we went to because you can take a shuttle from bars to the stadium. Stadium's kind of outside the city, and it's like, yeah, you can just drink on the bus. I've talked about it here before. He's a big stout guy, and so he ordered the oatmeal green pie one, and to him, he's like, yeah, this tastes exactly like the dessert. To me, what I got was I got notes of cream, vanilla, and oat all at different times every sip. Like they came in waves, and they didn't feel cohesive. And it's an imperial stout. I think it's only, it's 8%, so it's not quite Luke's territory, but it's a stronger beer. Like it feels like on the weak side of boozy, if that makes sense. Like you're like, oh, this has some kick to it, but it's not strong. You got like the initial like that cream feel, a little bit of vanilla, and then it finished like oatmeal in the back, like an oatmeal stout would almost, where you get that oaty taste. I had really high hopes for this beer. I really did, and maybe that's why I rated it as low as I did. Um, a 2.25 isn't a horrible rating. I've rated worse beers on Untapped.
That you
But
have?
yeah, I wasn't impressed. And, like I said, I hope that I just had a bad bottle, like it was an old one that had been sitting in the back of the single cans department at Woodman's or whatever. Yeah,
It was
I
a
would
Luke
revisit
style
it.
beer.
I'm sad to hear that because the explanation of the flavor, not your explanation, but kind of what it was advertising, makes it sound like it would be such a delicious, like a really, really good stout. So the
I
fact that it was kind of underwhelming is disappointing for me, the listener.
Sometimes you get a bad beer. Like sometimes you get something that's skunked, Like my dad gets it with PBR. Like he says like one in every like 100 PBRs he drinks like is just bad. And he's like I don't get it. He's like it's just bad. So he's like I just have to throw it out and then I have to open a new one.
Well, nothing's
Can we get
worse
an
than
actual tally on that?
Him, I like
Like,
I want
can we
him to
have
like do the math on it.
real research on it? Yeah.
well, nothing is worse than going to a beer that you love consistently and just getting something that it's like, I mean, this is a really creepy example, but it's like going to a loved one and it's like, oh, oh no, you're the wolf that's wearing grandma's skin. Wait, no, how does the
Yeah,
story go?
Just wearing her clothes. It was in her bed. He ate her and then it was just kind of posted up.
Okay, all right, but in my defense,
posted up. Posted up is the best way I've heard that wolf
you're
It
described
is!
Little Red Riding
I
Hood.
feel like
He knows what he's doing.
we're acting like this wolf consuming grandma and just wearing her clothes is much better than the skin thing. I don't know. What a scary comparison. I don't even remember what I was. Oh yeah. I had a Rohrbach Scotch Ale. It was this place called. It used to be Daffy's, but now it's like it's Dave's place, something like that. It was very strange. The whole thing. I plan to go back. But so I had ordered a Rohrbach Scotch Ale like I do many places, as I have many times, and I got it, and it was like, uh-oh, you know, the line was not flushed out, or something was off. And nothing is worse than taking a big gulp and being like, this thing that I love normally is not right. Something's off. Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, like I said, might have been a bad bottle, might have been an old bottle. Sophie had something similar happen. We were at One of Us Brewing, which is like a brewery literally across the street from my office. They had a pistachio beer, not the pistachio cream ale. Like they brewed their own there. And the first one she got was like fine, whatever. And she's like, "Oh, I'll order another one." The guy's like, "Oh, I just had to change the keg. There's some sediment at the bottom, and it hadn't settled yet." She gets the beer back, and it looks like algae green, and like it was just which was not the color of the previous beer, and it looked like Hulk piss or something like that. Like it was bad. I wish I had taken a picture of it because we just like it tasted the same, but it just did not look good.
And now
Oh my
Sophie
God.
hulks out and destroys the city of Milwaukee from time to time.
Oh yeah, she has fits, just absolutely destroying blocks at times. Any place that serves beer.
She's gotten very violent following that beer.
Don't know why. All right, gents.
Look,
let's take a quick. Oh no,
yeah.
no, you go, Keegan. We have time.
I mean, I was just gonna say, Luke, like, this is why this beer podcast is a podcast of professional breeze shooters, because we were able to go from stouts to Luke messing up the story of Little Red Riding Hood to Donnie calling that wolf posted up, which I just love.
He's
I just
straight
love.
chilling.
So he is. He's straight chilling. Hey, at least he didn't Hannibal Lecter that grandma though. Like, you know what I'm talking about, like Dwight Schrute style.
Yeah.
Well, but
Like
that's what
describe
I'm
to her
saying.
how he
He's
was
not
gonna eat
wearing her
her.
face. Like he could have gone to the Salvation Army, picked up her clothes, and went to bed. Like it's the same difference.
Could have just known that she was gonna be out running errands,
Yeah,
Exactly.
he was just chilling after eating grandma. You know, it
Post it up.
happens to the best of us.
It really does. It's unfortunate.
The growing
Right.
epidemic has something
Yeah.
to do with that green algae beer.
Oh, pistachios and algae. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, I'm gonna teach Luke how to play cribbage, and we are back with the Beer There, Drunk That podcast, the only podcast with three white guys.
Nobody fact check that. Nobody fact check it.
No,
Well, it's okay.
It's certified. It's certified.
By the way, that reminds me, this whole fact check thing. Goose Island claims to be the originators of bourbon barrel aging. Do we
Intriguing.
think
Wait,
that's
hold on.
accurate?
Can we also take a second to shout out Goose, the official dog of BTDT at the moment?
correct.
The Goose was literally named after Goose Island beer. So
Which is epic.
He deserves a shout out for your beer. It is. His
All right, fair.
we posted it on our story, but this unbelievable image of Goose within the Goose Island logo, and he killed it. So shout out Goose.
I'm pro Goose.
I got to drive down and see Goose this summer, I think, because I'd like to go to Goose Island.
Yeah, I mean, he'll come with you. He's a brewer. Actually, he was just at a brewery the other day. So
I saw,
he's
yeah.
a beer dog. He's a beer dog. Like at the end of the day.
Beer dog. The official Beer There, Drunk That Cat is currently causing havoc next to me. So
We're thinking about making the
Come on.
transition.
Yeah. He knocked over my beer bat earlier when I got home. I have speaking of Chicago beer, we just got them in Milwaukee last year, but when I first moved here in 2022, I got a Chicago Cubs beer bat.
Wait.
Oh, you got the Red Wings one.
You guys got your hands on one?
I did.
The Red Wings ones, I remember they leaked the first time and like they had to recall them or something. Because I think I want to say like were we gonna go, Keegan, or like some of us
we were.
Yeah, we were gonna go, and then
we were planning on going specifically for the beer bats, and then they were leaking.
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact this one does not leak because I still have not successfully been able to wash the grossness out of the bottom. So I don't think I'll ever be drinking out of this again, but it looks cool.
We went to an indie league game out in Oconomowoc, the Lake County Dockhounds. Lake Country, I don't know. The Dockhounds anyway. But you can get soda in a beer bat for cheaper, and then you can get like refills of the beer bat, I think is the meta. Like you get like a Diet Coke in one, and then drink that, and then you get like the cheaper beer refills in the beer bat afterwards.
Oh, that is way cool.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
That's Milwaukee math, is what it is.
I thought it was
Wisco math.
Myth and legend. So I'm very happy to hear that's a real thing. Also, I want to say real quick, did a quick Google, okay? I would like to formally apologize for, even as brief as it was, doubting Goose Island's claim that they were the first.
F you for that. F you for that.
But I want to provide some important context here, okay? In 1992, Greg Hall wanted to brew something truly unique for the brewpub's 1000th batch. Okay, this is only in 1992. Long story short, they took Jim Beam's bourbon barrels and were the world's first bourbon barrel aged beer.
Well, you have to remember that like home brewing wasn't legal until like the late 70s or something like that.
Yeah.
That's why like craft beer was like it was slow to start up. So it took them a while to like they probably when did Goose Island start? Probably like the mid 80s then?
I believe so.
Like that's like right when like things started hitting their strides. Like the big one in Milwaukee's Lakefront Brewery, and like it was probably like the late 70s when like the guy who founded it like got a book about home brewing from the library with his brother and just started making beer.
Well, it's just kind of wild to think about the absolute just explosion in in brewing, and especially this kind of craft stuff and this craft scene, and what a time to be alive. Okay. And
We're in the golden age of beer, I think.
I agree. I agree. The
I
you
think
know,
like the malt liquor and like the macro brew era was like the silver or bronze age because it was like laying the groundwork. But like
Mhm.
you just have to think of like you can actually have flavor in your beer now. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what the first like flavored beer was, but you have to think like our dads grew up drinking like the most you would have is like you would have like ale, lager, stout, and like maybe brown, you know.
Right.
And that's why I
Very
think
fortunate,
yeah,
and we thank our
Genesee's like cream
forefathers
ale
for that.
history is really good. You know,
Mhm.
It
it's
is
something a
it
little
is really
different.
cool.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna go first next on my beer,
Do it.
Do it.
because I said I was gonna teach Luke how to play cribbage, and I have 15-2, a stout from Three Sheeps Brewing. Um, so 15-2 is a cribbage term, and there's actually pictures of cribbage boards all over this can.
That is awesome.
So
Okay, wait.
the way this works, not Keegan, Luke. I'm
Hold
feeling
on,
beer.
that's 2 times. That's
I
2
know.
times so far. We need a water, we need something, because
I'll mix
that's
them in.
I'm
Um,
not Polish. I'm not Polish.
but you kind of look like a pole ish.
Hey, there you go.
I wish.
Yeah. But so cribbage, the way it works is everyone has cards, Luke, and you play them and you count. So if I played a 5, I would say 5. Then it goes to you. Say you play an 8, you say 13. You know, you have to count up to 31. But getting to the number 15, so if I played a 5 and then you'd played a 10, you would go to 15. You get 2 points for getting the number 15. I don't know why it's significant, it just is. And then at the end you like count up like your combinations of cards. It's almost kind of like poker with like how permutations work. But if you can count up to 15, that also gets another 2 points at the end of the round. And so this is
So
15 for 2.
oh, well, okay. All right. And actually I do want to provide some context here. I just listened to an entire podcast about cribbage. It's called Beer There Drunk. So I'm a bit of a pro now if you guys have any cribbage questions.
He's going pro.
But anyway, this was a great beer. I gave this a 4.25 out of 5. It just
Ooh.
says stout on here, and the only like descriptor on it is that it's 7.2% ABV, and it says stouts are like cribbage boards. You can't have just one. That's all it told me on this can.
I can't wait to get that reference
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah, Three Sheeps is a brewery. They're up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. They make a lot of good beers.
Sheboygan. That's a sick name.
Sheboygan. Um, this beer was like chocolate, like dark
Ooh.
chocolate. And it was so like it was subtle, it wasn't overpowering. Like the way I described it on Untapped is it starts with a little coffee, it just carries you through with dark chocolate, and it ends with like a very soft like cherry wood almost, like a little bit of that fruity sweetness. I mean, this beer was like a mocha latte in a beer. Like it wasn't quite, it's not like a milk stout. It doesn't have that same mouthfeel, but it is very full bodied and just it was delightful. Like it was so unassuming to me. I didn't know what to expect. And like I took a whiff of it and I was like, whoa, that's like that reminds me of like a Lindt dark chocolate Easter bunny that I used to get in my Easter basket as a
Ooh.
child.
Holy
And then
cow.
drinking it, I will say, so one of my guilty pleasure like evening snacks is just dry cereal. I love dry cereal. And so I was eating dry cinnamon toast crunch and it paired so well with this beer. Like taking a bite of cinnamon toast crunch and then drinking this beer. It was I was an unlikely combination.
Boys, all right, hear me out on this. Beer and cereal pairings is going to be our Girl Scout and beer. Girl Scout cookies and beer. Who's in?
Okay, I'd like to expand upon this because my cousins Aaron and Casey, like this this past weekend, so many family members and friends kept like pitching ideas. They're like, "Oh, you should do this with your podcast. You should do this." But a suggestion that one of my cousins made was doing like a Little Debbie and beer pairing at some point. And I do want to say, um,
Cosmic
my
brownie.
roommate's dad works for Little Debbie.
Oh, whoa. There's a woman in my office named Debbie who dressed up as Little Debbie for Halloween this year.
Is she Lil?
No, like she's just like an older woman, but she like walked around with a little basket full of snacks all day, and like anywhere she went, like she's like, "I'm Little Debbie."
Have you guys ever
I feel like
seen
there's a
there was a whatever, it was some nighttime talk show host. I had Will Ferrell on for some reason. He was dressed as Little Debbie. He did this entire Little Debbie bit.
I mean, it's Will Ferrell. I'm not surprised with anything, but I think Little Debbie has enough variety, like enough of a broad range of things that actually might work really well.
I literally drank a beer that was themed after a Little Debbie snack cake earlier.
Really?
So the oatmeal cream pie.
Oh yeah, wait a minute.
Idiot.
Like
I just listened to a podcast about that.
about Little Debbie snacks. No, I'm so down for that. I think I
All
like
right, we're gonna have to brainstorm.
yeah, we definitely have to brainstorm and like whether it be each one of us brings it to an episode or like we each bring two or something. Because it can be hard, like if you're not the one who makes the beer for figuring out what to pair. Because like, oh wow, I just have everything in this store to try and figure it out. Like this was total accidental. It was I like I feel bad because I was like, wow, this is just like I could eat this like every night and feel okay.
Like you'd pour the stout over the cereal and eat it with a spoon.
I don't know about that. That concerns me.
Oh, okay.
That might be me having an issue, but I may do that at some point.
It's worth the experiment.
Yeah, if I get off the if I have enough beers beforehand, maybe I'll be like, oh, what's this vessel of
See what
beer?
happens. Yeah, yeah. Luke, I want to go last, so I would
Okay.
like for you to go next.
What are you pouring another Guinness?
No. I have actually. I have a. It's a craft beer, but it's an Icelandic Bock beer.
Ooh,
Whoa.
appropriate.
Yeah. I mean, I got it for your Icelandic heritage, Donny. So,
Mhm. Skier.
yeah, it's just a nice like.
It's the only
call
Icelandic
it-
word I know, and that's yogurt.
Yeah. So, Luke, all you.
Well, so I visited through this can, not physically. Auburn, New York for
Can't even say
the
it.
well, okay, to be fair, the when I first read this in Beers of the World, the name of this, I legitimately chuckled. Just because our humor, the three of us, our humor is so stupid. This is called Wham Wham's Imperial Stout. Which I read, of course, naturally, fellas, in my head as Whams.
If you showed up, Luke, with a 6-pack of Wham Wham's Imperial Stout, I think that would be gone in a matter of minutes.
Who needs a Wham Whams?
Did it have a cool can or something?
Yeah, not even. On its well,
It was a
that's
blank
not
can with
Wham on
Sharpie
it.
on it.
He cracked it. He cracked it, and it started playing "Wake Me Up Before You Go."
Instead of the
Actually,
nitro ball, it had a music ball.
Can we trademark that? I need to get somebody in law on that because we need to make that happen.
Yeah, this was actually just a dented can that had rolled underneath the
Yeah, we call this a
the
Wham Wham
shelf.
can because I keep hitting my shin on it.
No, this is I do like the design on it. And
It's
I do
simple.
mention it in the video. It's like very simplistic. It's very cool.
Are those nuts? Is that like a hazelnut or a walnut?
It's like coconut.
Oh,
Where
I
am
got
I
a
with
lovely
the
bunch of
camera?
those.
Yeah, those might be D's.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's pretty cool. But this beer opened up with dark and bitter taste, so malty, More sweetness coming in through the end. Definitely not at the beginning. The coconut was the most kind of tangible flavor. But a lot of times with a beer that's going to tout coconut, if they overdo it, it kind of throws me off a little bit. I'm not the biggest coconut fan.
You ever had one that tastes like sunscreen?
No, but I can make one if I go through my summer sprays.
Like Sophie and I have had a beer before that was it was like coconut and marshmallow and it tasted like sunscreen in the best way possible. In
Ooh.
that like, when it like something like that smells good and you're like, I wish I could consume this, but I definitely can't.
Yeah.
It's like how Crocs like in crazy colors look edible and you're like, that looks like a Scooby-Doo fruit snack. I would eat that.
Eating it sent me to the hospital, but it was
Yeah.
worth a shot.
I haven't shat in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this was the coconut in this was not overwhelming. I caught a bit of caramel in this too, which I enjoyed kind of in the finish. Not at all boozy, but not watery by any means. I gave this a 4 rating on Untapped. I would have it again. But my biggest regret, fellas, is that I had this after I had had my first tasting, and so I think in many ways it could have just been a little underwhelming compared to that first one, which was just incredible. Again, thank you, Matt. But yeah, it was a good time. Uh, I'm sorry, real quick before you go, Keegan, I do want to share one thing because I went to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic with my cousins and my sister and stuff, celebrating my cousin Casey's birthday. When I was there, I woke up the first morning. I like opened the shades, step out on the balcony. It was like this just magical experience. And I'm standing out there, and one of the groundskeepers is walking by, and I wave, and so he waves back. He points up at the coconut tree that's right in front of my balcony, and I said, "Oh, oh yeah, that's yeah, it's way cool. Yeah, way cool. I this is pretty neat, right? Just it's like just hanging in the tree. I don't I don't really know what to say, so I'm kind of just rambling." And the guy goes, "Do you want one?" And so I go, "Yeah, one of these?" I point up at the coconut. And he goes, "Yeah." So he grabs it down and he brings it up to me. He brings it up to my room. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is such a cool experience. I can't wait to tell everybody about it." He takes a machete and just hacks it open in front of me. So I'm like, "Okay, little alarming, but cool, still cool."
Just has that with him.
Yeah. So he cracks it open and I go to reach for it and he holds out his hand. He goes, 5. So I'm like, "Oh,
He said,
oh,
"Pay
I
me.
see what's happened here."
You're
But
getting scammed.
I gave
I've
him
been swindled."
I gave him a $5 bill and he handed over the hacked open coconut and it was terrible.
And then he said,
Yeah.
5 to leave you alone. And he just followed you around for the rest of the day.
No, but that was I did just want to kind of share that because when I think of coconuts, I think of the guy that hacked the one open right in front of my right in front of my room.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah,
Unique
it is.
experience.
That's a neat story. That's a good story.
How else would you have spent that $5, Luke?
Yeah,
Down
not
payment on a house?
the stock market. I don't know.
The
Candy
stock
bar?
market. Yeah.
2 candy bars?
I think it was a great experience. All right, so I'll wipe the cheers first. For my second beer, I got one that I was drawn to it because of the can, and I think it really describes the three of us. It's called Fitness Freak.
I usually work out before we record in some fashion.
That's very smart. That's very smart.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes
I
me
don't,
drunker.
I don't. That's smart though. But so this is an imperial stout from Hoof Hearted Brewing in North Haven, Connecticut. And Luke, I'm gonna give you the big FU to your 13.9. This is a 14% imperial stout.
Oh my
So stuck
Not
on
even
that.
barrel aged. Not
So
even
stuck on
bourbon.
that. Yep. So yeah, take that one to the face. And so I really enjoyed this beer. So it was my first tasting beer. So I had a kind of a nice buzz rolling into my second tasting beer. Um, whereas the last beer was kind of that mid-bodied, this had every bit of full-bodied stout like goodness that you'd want. It was thick. I mean, you'll see it on my first sips, but honestly, it almost pours out like a milkshake. And I was
Wow.
intrigued from the get-go. Um it so again, normally when I'm having stouts, I'm thinking of that coffee. This like didn't really have it. Like it maybe a little bit of like an aroma to it, but the taste really wasn't there. Um, they listed as coffee, vanilla, and maple syrup added to this can,
Ooh,
or not to
maple
the can, but
syrup.
to the beer. And that to me, it was the vanilla and the syrup that was most prominent in the taste, which I actually enjoyed. Like there wasn't really the bitterness from the coffee, so even though it's not even though my first one was actually called a dessert beer and this one is not, this would probably be my dessert beer over the previous one. It's very sweet. Like I definitely would not have more than one in a sitting. Um
I think with any like
it
strong beer like that, you can't have more than one in a sitting. Like it just sits too heavy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lessish beer to the fullest extent.
There you
Like
go.
I think if I had a half of this beer, I'd be satisfied.
It is hard when
So I'm
they're in
grateful.
pounders like that.
I mean, it is. It is. It's a blessing and a curse because you get more out of the beer, but again, then you got to finish it. And so, again, I love the quote of one of the quotes of this brewery when you look up their website is turning tanks like cassette tapes since late 2011. Their beers just seem to have more of this like 80s style. Definitely something I would check out. So again, it's Hoof Hearted Brewing, and their website's awesome. They have a lot of other beers. So even more so than
It'd be crazy if that was
um
the only beer they made.
I mean it would be intense. It would be intense. Like some of the ones I saw, they have like $60 nachos, $100 nachos.
What's the difference
Like
between
just
those two?
one is a single IPA and one is a double IPA, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly from the website.
Why wouldn't it be like
Um
50 and 100 or 60
it's
and
I'm sorry,
120?
it's 60 and 120.
Okay.
50 and 120 is what it is. That makes more sense. Yeah, it's
The math
120. It's
wasn't working
120.
for me.
The math was not mathing. But my favorite one that I saw on their website and I actually absolutely need to find somewhere is called, let me clear my throat for this one. Cowboy Conky Dong.
Cowboy Conky Dong.
Instead of Donkey Kong, Cowboy Donkey Kong, it's Cowboy Conky Dong.
I think that's an illness. Have you seen that at
um,
work, Keegan?
I haven't yet. I haven't yet. I'll have to ask my urology friends.
Yeah.
Um, So it's definitely like, they have a lot of the names for their beers just make you want to try their beers. So I was definitely intrigued. But
I like that.
yeah, that's
I like
fitness
the
freak.
names.
I mean, I definitely would drink this before you work or after you work out rather than before. Because if you do like if this was a beer mile beer, you wouldn't make it a quarter of a mile.
It fits the beer mile criteria, though. Got to be at
I
least
mean,
12 ounces, and it has to be at least
you
5% ABV.
Yeah, so this one, if you're drinking this for a beer mile, please get help. Please seek psychological help, because that is like you have to be a psychopath. Like that's not.
I think you
Yeah.
got to be a psychopath for a beer mile in general, but
I don't
Well,
know. I don't know because
I'll
I would do a beer mile.
I'll say this, and again, and we've mentioned a couple of times this for as long as we don't have the visual aspect to this podcast, we are very fit men. But in all seriousness, the only working out that I do, and I did some before this because I had to work out which beer I was going to drink. I
mental
okay, we're
gymnastics.
exactly. Yeah, there we go. We are very fit in that case. Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
So yeah,
before we get to the wheel, I do have something that I want to broach you guys with that I have
Okay.
broached you with before in text. I'm just making it official on the podcast. I think for next week, we all come to this podcast with our own beer ideas on top of what beers we've tasted. Because I had the Mobcraft beer, and this was a crowdsourced beer. So this was beer number 101. Lupe Davalos from Racine, Wisconsin, submitted the idea for this Mexican hot chocolate beer, and then they made it. And so you can do that on their website. You can go on and vote beers now. And so I think we got to come up with what we want a beer to be. You know, you got to pick the style, you got to pick what flavors you want, and you know, it can be anything. And
I got
maybe
dibs.
we
I got dibs on a garbage plate beer.
would be
Keegan, no. Keegan, please don't. Keegan, I'm
So-
begging you, please no.
my
Just beef and ketchup.
beef, onion, hot sauce. No, my coworker, he's originally from Mexico, but he actually used to work for Molson Coors when he first moved to Milwaukee. So he worked on all like the Miller products and stuff. But now he works with me. Anyway, he texted me earlier, like, because he still reads like the Mexican news, and he texted me that a brewery in Mexico made a Tacos al Pastor IPA.
Oh my.
Wow.
And so I guess like I didn't get the full article. He just sent me a screenshot of it, but it was like smoky and like a little pineapple-y, and it's like it didn't taste like meat, you know, but it tasted like the idea of al pastor. So I'm giving you guys like a week to figure this out and come up with your ideas, and you know you can submit them online beforehand if you want to. Like,
Yeah,
there's
Donny,
a-
I was gonna ask you. Remind me what the website is.
it's
what the
Mobcraft beer.
brewery is?
I'll send you guys the link.
Mobcraft beer.
Are
Okay.
we able to take suggestions from people who listen to this podcast?
Sure, we could.
I think so. I think sharing their suggestions is okay. But Luke, if you don't come in with an original,
Oh,
I'm coming to your house
But we could have
and
like a
I'm
fourth
making
idea that gets
making
submitted.
you drink
I've
a
already got a
terrible
couple
beer.
brewing up in my head, you know.
I will say,
Nice.
I know
But
you had dibs on something, Keegan. The beer I did think that you would suggest after my cinnamon toast crunch beer experience was your favorite cereal from Wegmans, the blueberry cinnamon toast crunch. Like that as a beer.
I mean, yes, but like I feel like blueberry beer has been done as shown by my some of my favorite beers.
Careful,
So we'll see.
Keegan.
I'm gonna get out and get adventurous and see what happens. I might
Keegan,
just start throwing like random foods in there and see what happens, like banana and hot sauce or something. Go crazy.
I want to caution you, Keegan, in saying that it's been done. Every brewery that hears what you say, and there's so many that listen to us, so many breweries,
Thousands.
thousands, hundreds
Beautiful
of thousands.
breweries. They all listen to us.
They love us. They think we're great.
We're the greatest brewery. I walked in here. I said that we are the best brewery.
It's
no.
it's really good.
But you need to be careful because your favorite type of beer are these kind of like blueberry ales and the Ellicottville and
I had Line and
saying
Kugel
it's been
Sunset Wheat
done,
recently, which is a blueberry wheat ale.
everybody should do their own. I think Tracy B's is probably going to do one at some point. Every brewery should try it at least once, and I think shame on us, Keegan. Shame on us if we try and put that down.
I no, that's fair. That's
For
fair.
all you know, Mobcraft has never
Adventurous.
tried it.
Yeah, be adventurous. I like it.
You know, they've had
brainstorm.
they had Boston cream pie beer. You know,
Oh
they've
my
had
god, that sounds great.
they've had old fashioned flavored beer, you know, like old fashioned cocktails. You know, they have a Mexican hot chocolate beer that I just drank. And, you know, the cool part is whenever that beer, I believe, whenever that beer is on tap there, you can drink it for free.
What?
If you submit it, you're saying?
If you submit your idea, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was
You
going to
get-
say, how do they make money? But no, that
They
makes
don't. They're hemorrhaging. Angel investors. Peter Thiel's really involved. No, but that's just I think it'll be fun. So we can do a tasting and talk about what beer we want.
that
I'm
sounds
in.
great.
Yeah,
I'm in.
and maybe we'll do a submission on behalf of the audience, or if you're out there listening, submit your own idea and tell us what it is.
Yeah.
Please.
Can I,
All right.
Donna, can I hit you with my question of the week?
Yes, of course.
So last week it was, does pineapples belong on pizza? Which I think it does. I think anybody who shuns pizza toppings is
It's
just
whatever
mean.
you make it. I agree.
It is. I think pizza's a very Luke. Stop looking at me like that. We're gonna
What
fight
was
again.
what was the answer, Keegan? What did people say?
We haven't gotten
I
the
don't know.
answers
I
back.
haven't looked at it. It's still open. It's still open. So we'll see what they say. We'll see what they say. This week, would you rather fight 15 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? So
Oh my
15
God.
duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck.
The ramifications of it. Oh, I won't say it. I don't want to sway
There's a lot
the
riding on
audience.
this. There's a lot riding on this poll.
All right. We'll open up next episode talking about which one we'd think about.
All right.
But here's the first spin of the wheel. Let's hope we haven't had this beer before.
Amber Ale.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
I already have one in mind, I think.
Me too.
There's one I've been meaning to try.
I got nothing, so I'm just shopping.
You can't choose Killian's, Luke.
Well, son of a bitch, I'm out.
I'm out.
No.
I'm done. I'm done. Down to 2 votes.
As a beer you
done.
have actively drank on this podcast before.
with the sign directly behind me.
Yeah. Well,
All
there.
right, fellas.
I hope as kind of a last bit here, I hope the audio was okay. We'll find out if I had to screw with anything to make it show up for the for the Zoom recording. We'll find out if there were just random gaps of silence. But
Luke, I'm gonna be honest with you. With that new mic, I would hire you for phone sex.
oh, thanks, Keegan. You're the best.
Rock
I'll call you
on.
later.
What's your rate?
Rock on.
5?
That's a little high, I think.
I agree.
I'll Venmo you 50 cents for the hour.
Done. Ship it. Holy crap! I'm going to be rich.
Transaction fee is going to go crazy. Well, on that note, thanks for listening, and we'll be back here next week talking about amber ales and what beers we want to exist in the world.
Cheers.
See you, fellas.